When the internet began, bulletin board services, or BBS, became the first online communities of the so-called information superhighway. Using their phone lines, people logged in from all over America to talk about sports, games, movies, and on one BBS in particular, share their ghost stories. Over time, those communities all went dark, except for one lone server that continues to operate somewhere in an unknown part of Pennsylvania's Rust Belt. A relic of the 1990s, veiled in mystery, it is a digital archive of humanity's strangest encounters with the unknown, as told by the people who experienced them. My name is Brandon Schexnayder, and you are listening to Fear Daily.
Subject: the baby monitor. User: S4DDAD99. Posted March 15th, 1999.
They all think she left me. The cops came in here like they already knew the ending, like Naomi just walked out the front door one night because I was a shitty husband, or the baby was too much, or she missed her old life. One of them actually patted me on the shoulder and said, "It happens more than you think, son." As if that's supposed to make any of this make sense. As if she could just vanish without taking a goddamn thing. No diaper bag, no car keys, not even a pair of shoes. They're calling it a domestic situation. They say new moms sometimes get overwhelmed, that maybe she had postpartum, or maybe we fought and I'm just not telling them everything. I can see it in their eyes. They think I did something, or that she did something to herself, but they're wrong. I know Naomi, and she didn't leave us. She didn't take Lucy. She didn't take anything. She disappeared. How do I know? I found her journal under the crib this morning after the police cleared out. It was wedged between the slats and the walls like she tried to hide it. The cover's bent and a few pages are warped with moisture, but it's mostly intact. And now that I've read it, God help me. I know for sure that she wasn't crazy, that they were wrong. Naomi was desperate and something went really, really bad. The following is exactly what she wrote. March 5th. We've been home a week now. I can't believe Lucy's real sometimes. She's so tiny, so perfect, and already has this little furrow in her brow like she's judging me. I'm exhausted beyond words, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. The house feels different now, warmer, full. Lucy sleeps in fits, little grunts and kicks like she's still trying to figure out what this world is. She's so perfect. She's loud, and I love her so much it hurts. I can hardly keep my eyes open sometimes, but I am so happy. Right now, Ben is rocking her in her little chair, and I just can't get enough. March 6th. This morning, she woke us up at about 4, and after getting her to lay back down, I wandered to the kitchen, baby monitor in hand, eyes barely open, and I heard something coming from it. At first, I thought it was just static or something, but I was so tired and I felt delirious. Then, after a few seconds, it stopped me in my tracks because I realized there was a melody. It was a lullaby, and not just any lullaby. Lucy Lou, eyes so blue, dreaming high above the moon. I hadn't heard that in 20 years. Meemaw used to sing it to me when Mama would lock herself in the bedroom and the house got too loud. when I was sick or scared or small. No one else would know it, not even Ben. Maybe I was dreaming. Maybe I was hallucinating from the lack of sleep. I don't know, but I like to think it was my Mima looking down on me. I think she's watching. March 7th. Last night, I didn't sleep at all. After laying Lucy down, I sat on the couch with the monitor on the armrest, just watching it like a drug. For some reason, all I could think about all day was Mima's song. I guess I hoped I would hear it again. Actually, you know what? I wanted to hear it again, and sure enough, at 3:58 a.m., that little speaker clicked on. Same voice, same lullaby. I wept. Not because I was scared, because I missed her, because somehow some part of her was here. I felt like a child again, like I could crawl into her lap and pretend the world wasn't so sharp. I told Ben it must have been a weird frequency from a neighbor's baby monitor or some microwave thing or something. I don't know, and he just nodded and said, probably. Then went back to bed like we didn't just brush against the impossible. But today, well, Lucy's different now. She sleeps longer, she smiles more, and me, I found myself starting to do the things the way Mima would. Heating bottles on the stove instead of nuking them, changing Lucy out of yellow and swaddling tighter. She always said yellow made babies nervous, makes their energy twitchy, she told us. I'd forgotten that, but now I remember everything. It really is like she is here with me, and she's helping take over in the midst of all this fatigue and stress. I feel so lucky. March 10th. She's speaking to me now. I can't believe it. Not lullabies, full words, clearer each night. Just after 4 a.m., I heard my name echo out of the little speaker, Naomi Jean. But this last time, it wasn't loving. It was a warning. That's how Mima used to say my name when I left the back door open or lied about where I'd been. Why'd you move my china cabinet, Naomi Jean? She said, voice crackling out of the monitor. I haven't thought about that thing in years. It's still in Mama's old place, covered with a sheet, untouched since Mima passed. Nobody's done anything with it, but that voice wasn't asking. It was accusing. And that is when I realized this might not be Mima. Or if it was, she'd changed. All of a sudden, the room felt cold, even with the heat on. Lucy started crying and wouldn't stop, kept going the rest of the night, no matter what I did. I sang, I rocked her, I paced until my feet throbbed. Then the monitor clicked on again. You dropped her, the voice said, and you didn't tell them. I could not believe it. I was in shock and dropped down to the floor in the hallway and shook because I did drop her. It was at the hospital, just for a second, just for a tiny little brief second. I swear she slipped in my arms while we were packing up, and I caught her before she hit the ground. I didn't tell the nurse. I didn't tell Ben. Nobody knew, but the voice did. March 11th. Tonight, I pulled the batteries from the monitors, wrapped them up, and shoved them in a bag, pushed it deep into the trash under coffee grounds and leftover spaghetti. I waited until Ben wasn't looking, but that didn't matter. because around 3:50 a.m., I heard it again. She was back, but it wasn't from the monitor this time. It was from the vents. The sound was soft, almost like a breeze, but then came the words, "Mama's arms are always near." I got up and ran. Lucy was sitting upright in her crib, wide awake, not crying, not blinking, and that's when I noticed it. The corner of the room was darker than usual, and the rocking chair was moving ever so slightly, slow and methodically with a deliberate creak. I didn't want to look. I knew what I'd see. Mima or something pretending to be her. But I couldn't help it. There, in that chair, in the shadows of that dark corner, was the apparition of a woman who bestowed so much love on me for so many years. She wore her old faded housecoat, the same one she'd shuffle around in with a mug of tea and curlers in her hair, but her face, it wasn't hers. It wasn't the one that mirrored warmth back to me. Her eyes were black, her cheekbones sunken, her lips twisted. She looked at me and said, "You always were my favorite, Sugar Bean." My legs gave out. I hit the floor and everything buzzed like I dipped underwater. It leaned forward in the chair and whispered, "You brought me here. Every time you listened, every time you believed. That's how doors work. Thank you, darling." March 13th. I don't remember falling asleep. Woke up on the floor of Lucy's room. Monitor back on. Red light blinking. I think I need to go. I think I need to protect my little girl, and I can't wait for Ben to wake up.
Subject, Deadwatch. User, WatchR66. Posted, September 14th, 1998.
Something we pride ourselves on over here at Ordway Acres is the way folks trust us to make sure their loved ones are laid to rest with dignity. Dying can be an ugly business, Lord knows. Being a family business passed down through generations of Ordway men and women, we've had time to perfect our presentation. Our glossy black driveway is immaculately resealed every year. Our columbarium free of moss and dirt. The lawns just the right shade of green. For one low price, you get to rest easy knowing that your beloved family members are being taken care of, and there's no extra charge if they happen to come back a few times. Now, I know what you're thinking. Earl, what do you mean, happen to come back a few times? I'm letting you in on some choice graveyard gossip here by telling you this isn't exactly unheard of in the cemetery business. Most times, returners aren't location specific. There's someone who, in life, might have been a real son of a gun, and death has failed to improve their disposition. Those guys, one solid thwack to the back of the head with a sturdy shovel will send them back down below. Your local gravekeeper might not advertise it, but he or she is bonking moody undead patriarchs on the noggin in the middle of the night at least a few times a year. In cemeteries like Ordway or Gloryland down by Emmett, Ohio, Deadwatch is a full-time job, mostly learned from father to son or daughter, if the family tree shakes out that way. I learned from my mother, Big Mel Ordway, and my son Ryan is learning the trade from me. For us, it's not so simple as a shovel bonk. Lord, how I wish. No. In cemeteries like ours, we have something called deadvolution, where the nature of how the dearly departed come back has evolved over the years. Frankly, they're about the only thing around this country that has. Right now, the problem we're having is with the turbos and the fat Charlies. The turbos, there's not much meat on them, so they can run to beat the devil. Best thing for them is a crossbow shot straight to the dome. Where you run into issues is if you miss. You might get 2 shots before it's on you, 3 if you're ace at reloading. Blow that last chance, and you find out that running isn't the only thing a turbo's good at. They bite plenty fast too, and with the force of a gator. Even if you can get the damn thing off you in time to stitch the wound, you're in a race against the clock to stop sepsis from setting in. Turns out the mouth of a reanimated corpse is a real filthy place. We lost my wife, Hannah, that way. Fat Charlies, though, they're king of the hill as far as pains in our ass. They look exactly the way they sound, big gray fuckers with swollen, swinging bellies. During their tenure underground, they soak up all manner of crap and corruption, including live animals, and store them in their guts. Something about the county earth mutates those guts, fermenting everything inside until they're a caustic soup waiting to burst out. Charlies will force their way out of the earth, and you know right away it's them from their slick boob-loop sound of their tummy payload sloshing around. When that thing bursts, you have 2 immediate concerns. First, the liquid itself, which is highly acidic. The idea there is it's meant to soften up the Charlie's food before it eats. Your second concern is the piranhas, the reanimated critters swimming around in that acid. They move quick, and their bites, while not a sepsis risk like the turbos, hurt like a sumbitch. Thankfully, they can't live more than a few minutes outside their host. Most folks in the county know well enough to give Ordway a wide berth at night. No one really knows why exactly, just that they should. Still, every now and then you get dipshit kids looking for a thrill who sneak in with a Ouija board or some grass or both. If it's a quiet night, they may get lucky and be able to fuck, contact Elvis or whatever it is they came there to do, and go home before we get around to shooing them off. Some nights, like last Wednesday, they run into a situation that'll haunt them the rest of their days. It was a warm, clear night. Ryan had wanted to go over to Freetown to see a movie with his friends, so I was on Deadwatch alone, smoking in the guardhouse with Hambone, my trusted chainsaw leaned against my chair. I'm not the crack shot Hannah was with a crossbow, and if you fired a gun every time someone returned, our little secret wouldn't be a secret much longer. Close quarters is where I shine, and you don't get any closer than jamming a full-tilt chainsaw into the face of some screaming ghoul until it cracks open like a walnut. The tinkling piano signified movement on the cemetery's perimeter, joined the existing chorus of owl hoots and cicadas. I sighed and got up from my chair, leaving Hambone to keep snoozing. Running folks off your land with a chainsaw, whether it's on or not, is the sort of thing that gets people talking. A couple minutes brisk walk brought me to the southern, older end of the cemetery, where the markers are jumbled together with dark, tangled bois d'arc trees. This time of year, their boughs are heavy with horse apples, the inedible grapefruit-sized green fruits for which they're famous. I was able to see a small candle placed atop one of the headstones. A seance it was then. I was about to shout a stern but non-threatening "hey" when the earth beneath me shifted, forcing out an unformed vocal explosion instead. I fell hard against a tall tombstone, feeling one of my ribs snap wetly before I slumped to the ground. It suddenly hurt to breathe. A fat Charlie pushed out from the unsteady patch of earth, throwing a halo of dirt 6 feet in every direction. That's what kept me alive. I was covered just enough for the degraded eyes of a return to pass right over me. The kids, however, were comparatively lit up like Christmas, and making enough noise, I'm surprised they didn't hear him all the way over in Talbotville. The Charlie groaned and speed waddled off in their direction. I heard screams as the teenagers understandably panicked at the phantasmagoria unfolding in front of them. Whatever they'd been hoping to invoke, it wasn't this. My side burned, but I knew if I didn't get up, those kids were capital F fucked. With a groan of my own, I used the top of the tombstone to pull myself up despite the nauseating waves of pain washing over me. Without realizing it, the trespassers had managed to befuddle the return by splitting up. It clearly hadn't been an intentional move. They were panicked beyond reason, but it still had the effect of the big fat bastard not knowing which one he wanted to tenderize first. I had to think fast. Hambone was too far away to do me any good. I needed something to draw its focus to me. My gaze fell on a clump of horse apples which had ripened off their tree. One had hit a headstone on the way down, cracking its thick skin open on impact to release the milky sap inside. That shit irritates your skin like no one's business. It's also flammable. With my good hand, I picked up the fruit, fumbling with the other in my pocket for my lighter. There. Hey, fucko! Breathing hurt my side enough. Shouting was excruciating. The Charlie barely paid me any notice, his attention fully occupied by the kids who had somehow still not figured out that at least one of them should just run for the hills. Ignore me, will you? I flicked the lighter, holding it beneath the oozing fruit until the juice sparked, catching into a brilliant orange fire. I grit my teeth and braced, reaching back to hurl the flaming fruit at the returned. It landed true, bursting on impact and scattering tiny orange tongues over his filthy body. That did it. The fat Charlie roared and spun toward me, his huge wobbling gut. Following a half second later, I could see the outline of piranhas under the skin, circling their fleshy fishbowl. I dipped, wincing, and grabbed the other horse apple closest to me. This one wasn't split, and I had to bash it against the marker beside me to get at the sap. Pain flared up one side of my body. Darkness spotted my vision. Another bloom of orange, and I hurled the flaming fruit. My screaming ligaments jerked my arm back at the last minute, sending the apple downward instead of up, where it hit the straining brown-black belly. All I remember seeing was the marbled skin rupturing, then radiant waves of fire racing around the break, then everything went white. I woke to Ryan standing over me, Hambone snarling away in his hand. The teenagers were long gone, no doubt run off to tell a story not a single soul would believe. All that remained of the fat Charlie was a pair of smoldering calves. The inside of their bellies was not only caustic, apparently, but highly combustible, too. That was news to us and something to file away for future use. The explosion had busted half a dozen tombstones, sending the top halves out like suitcase-sized shrapnel. If the pain from my ribs hadn't dropped me when it did, there was a good chance I wouldn't be here telling you this story. The bottom half of those stones jutted up from the ground like busted teeth. Another thing to fix. When death is your business, you're never off the clock.
Fear Daily is an independent podcast hosted by Brandon Schexnayder and written by Brennan Storr, with Joanna Smith serving as the consulting editor, audio production by Rachel Boyd, and sound design by Southern Gothic Media. This podcast is a work of fiction. Names, characters, places, and incidents are either products of the author's imagination or are used fictitiously. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or to real events or locations, is entirely coincidental. Ad-free versions of Fear Daily are available now on your favorite podcast apps. For more information, visit feardaily.com. But move fast, before the server goes offline.